you guys probably know what. Do you guys know what my favorite book of the Bible is? Do you remember?
Matthew is what I think, because of
Yeah,
his son.
it is. It is Matthew. Matthew, I do, and that's really one of the reasons why I wanted to name our son Matthew. Amy went along with that. I love the book of Matthew. I love especially the Sermon on the Mount. It's just absolutely so good. But and then after that, I would say John is probably my second favorite book of the Bible. But you know, the thing is, when I was a kid, when I was at camp, I don't know exactly why, but Luke, you know, was that gospel that I really, really liked. And so I went through and was looking through Luke, and there's some interesting things about Luke. First of all, Luke has a very unique perspective because Luke wasn't one of those 12 disciples, right? He was a educated man, and he was a historian. He was a writer and had written, you know, and chronologicalized. That's not right, but you know what I'm trying to say. Sure, yes, he did a lot of that as well. And while I was going through, I noticed that wow, you know, Luke is interesting in that when he tells a lot of these stories, he cuts right to the point. You know, he gets just right at it, unlike Pastor Jeff on his sermons on Sundays. But he gets right to the point. So I thought it might be kind of fun to go through some of the parables, Jesus's parables from Luke's perspective. And the very, very first parable that's found in the book of Luke is in chapter 5, and you'll see the screen there behind us, and you guys can see it there way down that way. David, can you see that far? Are you still with us, David? Okay, good. He's still awake. All right. So that's good. So yeah, let's take a look at this and let's read it together. Hey, which of you guys want to volunteer to read this passage into the microphone real nice and loud? All right, there we go. There we go.
Luke 5, verse 36 through 39. He told them this parable. No one tears a piece out of my new garment to patch an old one. Otherwise, they will have torn the new garment, and the patch from the new will not match the old. And no one pours new wine into old wineskins. Otherwise, the new wine will burst the skins. The wine will run out, and the wineskins will be ruined. No new wine must be poured into wineskins, and no one after drinking old wine wants the new, for they say, the old is better.
All right, very interesting. You know, I got to tell you, of all of the different parables, this one right here strikes me as really kind of odd. Do you kind of sense that and stuff? Ashley, you were telling me earlier today that you were talking to your kids about this actual parable a number of days ago or a week or so ago or so. Is that right?
Well, I got excited listening to the morning wake-up call. They said they were going to go through all the Gospels, and I decided to jump ahead of it and start reading out of the book of Matthew to my kids, and that way I would be sure to always know what they were talking about.
Awesome.
And so we just actually, yes, read this same parable about 2 days ago, but out of the book of Matthew.
Out of Matthew's account. Is there a big difference between
It's
Matthew's
not a
account?
huge difference, no.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very similar.
So he talks about two different things, doesn't he? He's talking about the first one that is, a patch and a garment. And I got to tell you, when I was a kid and I'm reading this or whatever, I'm like, what on earth is this about? I had absolutely no idea at all. And then the wineskins as well. I'm like, okay, this is just leaves me absolutely oblivious. And I don't know. I mean, in Matthew's account, does Jesus give very much explanation? Because obviously Luke doesn't give very much explanation here. He just kind of goes on to the next thing.
Yeah, no, it's really not more.
I
I know that the premise of both of these parables both come after Jesus is questioned about the topic of fasting.
Okay.
So the Jewish leaders are asking him, like, why we fast and pray regularly, we fast all the time, but your disciples, they don't. And so Jesus leads into this parable by saying, while the bridegroom's here, there's, there should be celebrating, but soon when the bridegroom is gone, then there will be fasting.
Yeah, that's really astute of you to be looking ahead, because a lot of times if you see something and you're like, boy, this doesn't make sense to me, one of the best things that we can do is, what did Jesus say right before that? And what is Jesus saying right after that? What do you got, Brian?
It's called inductive Bible study.
Inductive Bible study. That's a good part of
Which
inductive
means when
Bible
you
study.
don't understand a verse, you read the one in front of it and the one back behind it, and you keep going until you get total context.
That's a very, very good clue to doing good inductive Bible study. So, what do you think? So he's talking about garments here, and he says, okay, so if you have a pair of jeans or whatever else, I have on one of my nicer jeans. I rank my jeans, by the way. I do. In fact, I used to put, these are my A jeans, B jeans, C jeans, and you would hang them, and I would look on the tab, and I would know. So I'd always wear my A jeans, to church, and then I would work with my C jeans. You put letters on your jeans? Okay. Do you want to explain?
Yeah, A goes with A, and A goes with A, and B goes with B because I can't see most of the colors I have.
Okay. All right.
It's called, when you're colorblind, you got to come up with something.
All right. I like that. I mean, that's not bad.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, my lands. I hadn't thought of that. It was like Geranimals? I do remember that, actually, now. That's pretty good.
I don't think Elizabeth may be able to, she'll understand, but I can't tell you how many times I have to ask her
Brian, I'm just glad that your
if I
mom,
match.
I'm just glad that your mom's not still dressing you, okay? You're doing good. All right, so there's something very, very interesting. You have an old garment, and you tear your jeans on your old garment, and you want to fix your jeans, right? You want to fix your jeans. And so you might be tempted to go and cut a patch from a new garment to put on your old garment, but there's a couple of problems there. There's really two problems. What's the first problem that you can think of in doing that? It won't match. How will it not match? You're talking like the color and everything else? Okay, good. That's right. But he does go on. He is saying something else that's very new. And I'll give you a hint. He says, old garment and then a new garment. I don't know. I like my clothes. My clothes are kind of important to me. For my birthday and Christmas, Amy will often buy me, something nice that she thinks that I will like. But the problem is when you buy something that is brand new at the store, and maybe you go and you try it on, and it fits you really, really well when you try it on at the store, and you take it home, what is the problem that could happen a couple of weeks or a month down the road? It could what? It could shrink. My dad out in the studio audience, I've been wondering, I've been thinking to myself, since you guys are so quiet, and David, especially you, most quiet, I'm thinking, one of these days, one of these days, I'm going to invite my dad to come up here, and that's going to be dangerous, That's going to be dangerous. But you're right, Dad. Clothes, when they are brand new, they have a tendency to shrink, right? So there's really two problems here. Number one, if you got a used garment and you tear it and you want to get it fixed, why would you go and destroy a brand new garment by cutting a piece of cloth off of the brand new garment to sew on the old garment? That right there doesn't make much sense, right? But there is another problem with that, and Dad was alluding to that. If you have an old garment that's, say, 2 years old, and I don't know how often you do your laundry and how often you wear a particular shirt, but after 2 years of going in and out of the laundry and stuff, that piece of clothing, that article is probably already shrunk pretty much as much as it's going to shrink, right? And so if you tear that garment and you go to a brand new piece of garment and you cut a thing off and you sew it on there, what's going to happen in the weeks and the months to come? The patch is going to shrink. The patch is going to shrink. Will the clothes, the older garment, will it shrink right along with it?
No.
David, why are you handing him the microphone if you're going to say no, David?
I can say no.
You know, Brian, we're going to resurrect the lavalier microphones. That's for one. That's going to help us immensely with this. Okay, so if you're not liking this, don't complain. Give us a few weeks, but we'll get the lavalier microphones and stuff, and that'll help immensely as well. We may have to buy a few, but and I don't know where the money's going to come. But anyway, we'll do that. But yeah, it's good. So what's going to happen? You with the guitar next to you, Ashley. What's going to happen?
Well,
You-
this is one notable difference between the Matthew account and the Luke is Matthew does mention the shrinkage.
Yeah.
He does specifically.
Yeah.
And I will have to say that as a daughter of a seamstress, I learned
Your
about
mom, seamstress?
Oh, yes.
Really?
That was one of the first things I remember, like every time she would buy new fabric, she would bring it home and she'd wash it before she did anything else with it. And so it was one of the first things I learned. Now, just a couple months ago, my husband tore a pair of his pants really badly, and I told him I'd fix them for him,
Uh-huh.
and I have.
You have.
Very painstakingly, by hand, I stitched those shorts all together with a beautiful patch
So
inside.
he had a pair of shorts. Did he like split the
Well,
outseam?
now, hold on.
Was he like bending over and went?
The thing is, he hasn't ever worn them again yet, and that's because I haven't put the button on the front of them. But
Oh, please do that
He
before
thinks
he
it's
wears them.
he thinks it's because I keep forgetting to put the button on. In reality, I realized about halfway through doing all the stitching,
Yes.
I had a totally different type of material, and those pants are already so frayed that within 2 wears, I know he's going to rip them again.
He's just gonna rip 'em
It's just going to rip. It's going to rip
Yeah.
because the new material, it's going to rip the old
It's just gonna rip.
material.
So
So
that's-
I have spared us both the heartache of seeing my beautiful stitching go by the wayside by just
Okay.
omitting the button, and they just sit there.
Okay. You know what? We will take up a collection and we will buy you some new shorts to give him because we don't want to be privy to seeing that stitching come out. So you understand what he's talking about here a little bit. I'm going
Yes.
to tell you, when I was a kid, it just did not make a lick of sense to me.
Well, the wineskins is that's how I feel about the wineskins. I don't.
Does it not make?
I don't get
So,
the wineskins.
I tell you what, I honestly and truly, even when I went to Greenville, I still didn't understand that passage. And I'm not even so sure if even while I was at Greenville, I had a really good, I don't remember when it was, but I think I did finally get a good explanation. First of all, do you guys know where these wineskins are? What did they use for wineskins back in biblical days? Do you know? Yes, who said it? My wife knows. My wife knows. Does anyone else know? Did you all hear what she said? So, you know what? Especially in the early days when they would like take a goat and they would like sacrifice the goat or whatever else, or, you know, eat the goat and whatever else, they wouldn't just discard all of the parts of the remaining parts of the body. They would figure out ways to use them, and they would use the bladder. They would clean out the bladder, and they would use the bladder, tie it and sew it in such a way so that it could hold water and or wine or whatever else.
Thank you for
Yeah, ruining
kegs
that. Yeah.
and
Whew.
barrels. Don't think I
Yeah,
want to drink
that-
out of
that's
a bladder.
That's an interesting image, isn't it? But you know, they in latter days, because I remember somebody at Asbury was talking about that at seminary, and they were able to sew just like the leather part of the skin and stuff as well to make this, but they would have to use really small stitching and they have to get it really tight. Otherwise, you could imagine it would be leaking out and everything else, right? Well, here's the interesting thing about wine. Do you know how you make wine? Does anyone know? Do you know, Brian? You may know, don't you? What do they use? Real
Well,
quickly.
use grapes.
Yeast. I
and
heard yeast from the
oh,
audience.
Yeah, and yeast, and you mash them down into a
What else
mash.
do you use? It's not just that. you-
Sugars?
You use, yes, but what kind of sugars?
That's a hard one.
It's the
because
same
I'm not too
thing.
sure.
So they will use like wheat or hops, and they will use yeast, and they will use sugar and salt, and that will pretty much get that fermenting process going. So they would mix all of that up with the grapes and stuff, and they would pour it into the wineskins, into the bladder. And what happens when wine or other drinks for that matter, what happens to them when they ferment? What do? They expand.
It's kind of like a balloon. If
Yes.
you blow a balloon up let it back down.
Yes.
It's not as strong. Second.
Yes, that's exactly it. So imagine you have this bladder, or maybe even it's the leather or whatever else, and you pour the wine in there and everything else, and you seal it up really, really good and tight because you don't want the air to get in there, obviously. And you seal it up, and then you let it set, and it'll begin that fermenting process, and it expands. And it expands. And the thing of it is it's stretching it out and it's stretching it out and it stretches it out, really, really far until the wine has completely fermented. And then you go and you cut it open and, your daughter's getting married, a grandchild's on the way, whatever it is, and you want to celebrate or whatever else. And you open up the wine and you pour it out. And then you have this perfectly good wineskin. And you're tempted. Hey, next time let's save that, It's like my wife always, how many of you guys in the studio audience out there? The studio, don't you love the way I said that? How many of you guys out there reuse your Ziploc bags? Amy loves to reuse the Ziploc bags. She'll wash them out. Oh, you used to do it all the time. You used to do it all. I remember the drying rack. It would have all of these Ziploc bags upside down hanging on the thing.
For you guys watching on TV, she just gave him a look. I'm just letting you know.
She did.
She
did give me a look, like whatever. But it's true, And so I think it's the same thing with these wineskins. They would want to do that, and they realize, and I'm sure somebody at some point said, "Hey, go out and get the old wineskins. Where we got a new batch," and they would pour it in there, seal it up, thinking things are absolutely wonderful. They would go out there the next day, and what would you find? A big old mess, because the wineskins burst. They burst. And why did they burst?
They were probably too thin from the expansion.
So they had already expanded. And, and then they sat there, and I think they kind of took that shape. And then the new wine, they poured it in there, tried to get it to expand some more, and it wouldn't do that. So here's the thing, and I think this is the lesson, guys. You're talking about something old, and you're talking about something new. And there's a place for things that are old, and then there's a place for things that are new. I think that right there is key to understanding what this passage is talking about. Brian, what do you guys think? I'm just any of you guys. What is the passage? What is the lesson? What is it that Jesus, we understand, okay, I get it, one shrinks and the other one doesn't shrink, and then you have the wineskins, but what is it that we're to take from this? David, you're a pastor's kid. Surely you've heard your dad preach on this a lot of good times. Look at it. He's so stoic. He's just like, David, you win. I will not ask you to come up here again. He's like, oh, so good. Shoot. But David, seriously, can you, yeah. David's like, well, can I go down now? David, can you speak to this a little bit, though? I mean, seriously. Or any of the rest of you. I'm curious. What do you guys think about this? Well, Randy, you're not up here, but you will be up here at some point in time.
Coming up with Phil.
You'll be up here with Phil, and I won't get a word in edgewise. But what do you guys think? What do you guys think? What are they talking about here? What is this lesson actually about? Do you know? And that's okay. If you don't know, that's all right. We're going to try to unpack it a little bit. What do you think, David?
Well, my initial thought is that you can't have the new and the new and the old coexist together. That you can't put the two together.
What do you think Jesus is referring to? What is the old and what is the new that Jesus is talking about?
If we are, how to say it, but, sinful nature,
Yes.
and we're saved, and we have a new nature.
Yes.
It's different than the old. You don't want to put them together. You want to make the complete change.
Yeah.
Live the new life.
So it's very interesting. Ashley, you said it, whether you realize it or not. You even said it. Who was coming to Jesus and giving Jesus a hard time? Who were those people?
Well, it was the Jewish leaders. It was the Pharisees.
It was the Jewish leaders,
So
the teachers of the law.
is it, my thought is that, like, they were always trying to trap him by proving their devoutness, and usually what they used was a display of their dedication and devotion to certain rituals.
Yes.
And I feel like Jesus maybe used this parable in this instance to kind of bring to light, like, while fasting is going to be an important part still, it's not going to go away. It's not something that I want you guys to not do at the appropriate time, yet I don't want you to do it in the way that you used to.
So I think you're shining the light on there. You use, to shine some light. Let's put some more light on this. Let's get this thing really clear. It's interesting. You used the word fasting. Jesus was being criticized. Hey, your disciples aren't fasting correctly, or whatever. Oh, really? Is there a correct way to fasting? Now, did Jesus like fasting? Did Jesus encourage us to fast, or did Jesus say that fasting was something that we don't need to really worry about anymore? No, Jesus said, hey, fasting is a good thing. Now, how you do your fasting is really important. Here's what I think we need to understand. When you think of the teachers and the Pharisees, the teachers of the law, the biblical, not the biblical, but the leaders, the religious leaders is what I'm trying to say. When you think of those religious leaders, they were all about, all right, you need to keep these commandments. You need to be about these things. And, you messed up. You did not follow the law. And because you did not follow the law, then you have to, you do not get to go into the temple to offer your sacrifices, or whatever. They were so rigid. They were so legalistic. It wasn't even funny. And they were so quick. Nope, sinner. You need to really watch it. We've been watching you for the last couple of months. You're okay. Oh, you're a sinner. You definitely need to leave. It was really kind of like that, And it's like who does that, right? And Jesus definitely wasn't that way. I mean, Jesus was more like, hey, grace and compassion. If you show mercy to somebody else, my Father, God in heaven, will be merciful to you. If you're judging people like these teachers of the law and everything are judging them, then you know what? The same measure that they're judging people, they're going to be judged. And you need to be careful of that. There was this old way of thinking, and there was this new way of thinking. Jesus came speaking of repentance and forgiveness and all of these things. And the Pharisees and the teachers of the law and the Sanhedrin, they hated it. They hated it. They're like, he goes and talks to tax collectors and prostitutes and all of these people, crying out loud. Did you hear that he went right through Samaria?
Well, and
He didn't go around Samaria.
and it cuts out their power, at least their perceived power.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I think this is really what he's talking about. He says, you can't have these two different mindsets that are clashing. I am doing something new. This is very new. And I'm not sure how this is going over. Maybe you like it, maybe you hate it. But we are trying something new. One thing that I do know is, I appreciated the beautiful hymn that you sung and everything. But if we tried to do everything like we did in the 1970s, it's probably not going to go very far. It's probably not going. God gave us, different ways of looking at things, perceiving things, and being able to use scripture up on the wall. All of these things. I mean, these are huge blessings, And I just think it's awesome, and I think God is doing a new thing, and He was doing a new thing there, saying, "Listen, this isn't just about the Jews. We have a heart for the Gentiles as well. As was written about and prophesied throughout the Old Testament even, and so forth." So what do you guys think about this? What I'm talking about? Does that seem to make sense with you and everything else? Ashley, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it makes sense.
Yeah. I wrote down here, these are some of the things that I wrote. So God was doing something new. The people tried to see things and understand things from an older perspective. Nobody likes change, but Jesus's change was a good change. How so? Well, it used to all be about the enforcing of the law. And the thing of it is if they were really enforcing the law, and it's not that we throw out the law, but when somebody falls short of that standard of the law, and we all fall short. In fact, the Bible says that one of the reasons for having the law was to show us that we do fall short. We all fall short. And God wanted us to become merciful, just as God is merciful. He wants us to be merciful. He doesn't want us judging people. He warns us that if we judge people, that we're going to be judged. It was such a legalistic perspective. They were just looking down their nose at everybody, and so forth. And Jesus was much more about mercy, grace, forgiveness. All of these things that come about by the changing of the heart. And Jesus talks about that. He says, man, you need a new heart. Your heart of stone, needs to be replaced with a heart of flesh and mercy and love and compassion. I think personally, these are the things that he was talking about. All right. Any other thoughts there on that at all? All right. David, we're going to take a real quick break. If you want to go ahead. You're my wife. Well, come on over here, sweet thing. Yeah, that'd be pretty nice. David, you would remember their names. You're really good with names. Would you remember Tom and Sherry Cahill? Possibly. It would have taken you a minute to remember.
My wife would have done a lot better job than I would.
Your wife would have. I gotta tell you, one of my favorite memories. Your wife's out there somewhere. Yeah, there she is, right there. One of the things that's really funny is, I've been a pastor here for a long time at the church and stuff. But when so often when I think of you guys, I got to tell you, I have to confess, this is what I think of when I think of you guys. There's two things. I remember you telling me about how you worked so hard to woo her to go out on a date with you. I love that story, and I really do mean that. One of these days, maybe on the Sunday before Valentine's Day, I'm going to have you come up and you're just going to have to share that story, because it is an awesome story. I mean, you talk about a romantic guy, man. This guy did everything to turn her head, and he did. But no, this is what I remember. I don't know how long it took me, but I know it took me for a while, because like Brian, I'm horrible when it comes to names. And I remember, David, I would so often I would call you Dave, and Karen would come up to me. I'm just joking. Kathy would come up to me and she would say, David. His name is David and stuff. Dave is good. We have Dave Beck, but this is my husband, David. And she would always do so gently and so sweet and nice and stuff. So, David, can you remember the last time that I called you Dave? I can't. I think it's been at least a decade, since that happened or whatever. So, anyway, just a good story. Hey, listen, guys, we're going to go ahead. We had another parable that we were going to do, but we're going to wait and we're going to do that one next week or whatever else. But I do want you to think about this parable one more time that we talked about. This parable of the wineskins, the parable of the cloth, the old and the new. And I think maybe what I would say to you in general is, change is hard. And people don't like change. And I'm old enough now, and I've heard my dad say for decades, and my mom as well, and several other people, that are about their age. Change isn't fun, and it's not easy. And I think it's especially not easy as you get older. But the thing of it is, change does not have to be a bad thing. Especially when that change comes to showing, kindness and mercy and love and compassion to people. Especially when in Jesus' day they would just write people off like absolutely crazy. I did have another awesome video to show you guys, but you guys will have to wait till next week. But let me close by saying this. I want to thank you. First of all, those of you that are here tonight, thank you so much for coming out. It's not the biggest crowd that we've ever had. I guess it is the biggest crowd that we ever had for dessert church. But not that, I guess we could say that, man. We broke the record, Yeah, we do need to break it next week. So whether you're watching at home or just weren't able to make it out tonight or whatever else, please make sure that you come out next week. But I do want to thank you for showing up here. And I do want to thank you, if you're watching online, I want to thank you for watching online. I know that there are several of you that it's just not easy to get out. I think of Karen Montgomery. She and I text quite often and everything. And it's just not easy, for some folks to come out. So if you're not able to come out, thank you so much for watching online. Also, I want to thank you for your givings. Guys, it's not a secret. Our givings have not been great for really, I would say for well over a year or so now. And I think, there's a lot of reasons why that's the case, but I appreciate your faithfulness and your obedience to give to the church. Remember, you can give online. You can give through the church app. You can mail us a check to the church. You can just find our address and mail us a check with lots and zeros before that decimal point. That would be fine, and a big whole number before that. That would be absolutely wonderful. And by the way, as far as the app goes, we had a lot of people asking, say, Jeff, man, I tried to download the app. It got deleted somehow, and I tried it to download it, and I cannot find it on the App Store. The church app is on the Apple Store, but it is not on the Google Play Store. It's not right now. So we contacted them last week, and I think I have sent 15 emails back and forth, and I've had the good people that host our website and everything. They've even been working with us to try to get this thing resolved. We'll get it resolved in the next day or so. And then for those of you that do not have the church app on your phone, you'll be able to download that. And just ask, somebody who still has some hair on their head, and they'll probably be able to help you out if you're struggling to figure out how to get that app downloaded onto your phone. And guys, I'm telling you, the morning wake-up call is where it's at. And here's the thing, Pastor, I don't have the app, so I can't do that. If you Google morning wake-up call seedbed, each morning you'll be able to do that. And maybe what we can even do is when we do the updates and stuff, maybe we can even put a note of that website on there so they can find it as well. If you sign up, yeah. If you
from the
you can,
seedbed.
but I would rather you use the app to do that, because what happens is the more that our app gets used, the quicker it shows up when people search for it. And we want a lot of people looking at our app. On our app, you can see the wake-up call. You can watch the Sunday sermons. You'll be able to watch the Wednesday night dessert church. All of those kinds of things. You can check out the calendar. All of those things. And the prayer list is on there. And we're working hard to get to that place where we're updating every day, updating it. I know it's not being updated every day. I know it's not. But we're working to get there, and we will soon get there. All right. Hey, guys, do me a favor. Give these guys a round of applause for agreeing to come up here to be a part of this. Ashley, you survived. David, you barely survived. But you all did good. You all did good. Hey, listen, God bless you guys. And hey, remember, sowing seed doesn't happen by accident. It happens intentionally. So we need to go out there and we need to put forth some effort in doing some farming for Jesus, okay? Hey, God bless you guys. Thanks for being here. Yes, ma'am. Before we leave. A best friend's 12-year-old granddaughter her name is Paisley. She got a concussion a few weeks ago, and she is still struggling with the issues from that concussion. Bad headaches and such. For little Paisley, 12-year-old Paisley, concussion, and still having sight issues, I'm assuming, and the headaches and stuff. Amy and I remember when Matthew had his second concussion was a bad one. We almost pulled him from football. And yeah, we would do well to be praying for little Paisley, right? Lord, even now, we just bring Paisley to you, and we just pray, Lord, that you would just walk with her and help her to get better. Be with her mom and her dad, everyone involved, the doctors and the nurses. We just pray for little Paisley. She'll get better real soon, real quick, so we can praise you and glorify you for this reason as well. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. Hey, God bless you guys. Thanks for being with us tonight. God bless.